technology. You see, we've all been talking about NEP is great. NEP's got a lot of new challenges which it brings in, and what we need to do is we need to start working with training of teachers. The most important part today, Rajiv sir, SP Singh sir, Vipin sir, and Sarjubala ma'am, is that we all have to understand that we will have to train our teachers and we'll have to keep training them. How is it that we are going to achieve this mammoth task? We all need to understand that there are 14 million teachers in our country. If you talk about teaching teachers for ECCE, that again is a huge challenge because that is one subject that not many people know about. Knowing how to read and knowing how to count is not doesn't make a person teacher. And there's a special way of teaching. So how do we achieve this mammoth task of training 14 million teachers of a country, that too in a country of this size with such a lot of demographic differences? So what I suggest is that the first thing that we need to do is we need to train our teachers on basic computing skills. What we need to do is to train them on how to use the internet or tools related to internet. See, today it is not important to know everything, but it is important to know how to find everything. So that is something that we need to know. During the pandemic, we've all seen that our teachers trained themselves. They worked, and they got trained and they've delivered to whatever extent which we could do. Rajuji did talk about, the problem of not having the right kind of infrastructure when it comes to technology, but still majority of the teachers and the students were able to connect and have the teaching learning happen. But what we really want to do is to teach our students how to use these basic tools of technology. Why do we need that? Understand one important thing, that if they are able to learn using technology, then they can learn anything. We don't have one program that has to be delivered to 14 million teachers. There are different kinds of programs, different kinds of learnings that they have to happen, and then you cannot have so many teacher training programs across the country. So what will be done or what should be done is train them on how to use technology to learn. If on one side we are talking about we need to teach a student using technology, what about our teachers? So once this is done, teachers on their own will be able to learn, and that too at a time convenient to them and in a place convenient to them and the way they want to learn. So that's something very important. The other challenge that our teachers of today are facing is that, the student of today knows much more than the teacher of today. We will never be able to outpace the speed of the learners of today. Understand that we as teachers are technology migrants, but today's student is a technology resident. These kids were born with a mobile phone or technology in their laps. Even before they started having a milk bottle, they had a mobile with them. At least they were touching that. So it's difficult to work on that. How do we cater to such requirements? What we have to do is we have to stop being a sage on the stage and become a facilitator. That's something which we all very, very importantly need to understand, that how do we do that? Today, you ask a student one thing, they know four things, they already know that. How do you engage them? How do you become a facilitator? So this is what I'm going to do by giving you a very, very simple example. How do we make, like Vipin sir said, that we have to make education interesting, enjoyable. Rajiv sir, you said it has to be interactive. SP Singh sir, you also talked about, how do we get the love for learning? How do we teach them using the 21st century teaching skills? So let me give you one simple example. Say, if I am a teacher of geography and today I have to go teach talk about volcanoes, what would I do normally? Normally, I would say, open up the book, go to page number 5, and let's talk about volcanoes. And I would download all that I know to the entire class, and there's a one-way communication. I, as a teacher, will be speaking, and students will be listening. Now, listening means they will be hearing. They may not be listening. That means they may be there physically, they may understand, they may not, they may digest, they may not. And they may be interested or they may not be interested, because it's a one-way traffic of information flow, which definitely doesn't guarantee understanding to all. Instead of this, if we deploy the flipped classrooms, which uses minimal technology but guarantees learning. What would I do if I have to convert the same class on volcanoes into a flipped classroom? Very simple. You don't need much of technology. But I would go to the class today and say, tomorrow, mind well, tomorrow I am going to, or we are going to discuss about volcanoes. And I want each one of you 30 students to come up with 10 lines on volcanoes. You have to come and present your 10 lines in front of the class. What will happen? As soon as the kids go home, they will straight go to the computer or a device and they will Google. And what will they Google? They'll Google volcanoes. Unfortunately, they will not find 10 lines. Mark my words. Unfortunately, they will not find 10 lines. They will instead find 10,000 lines on volcanoes. So what do? They read, they skim, they scan through that, and they come up with their own required lines. So first, very important thing, understand, everybody's talked about this, and Sarju Bala ma'am, you did talk about reading. You know what? The numbers and the graphs that you showed that increasingly the reading is going down. What we used to read at our time, what students are using 5 years from now, and how much are students reading now is a matter of great concern. Increasingly, students are reading less, and we are talking about an education system which is research based. How do you do research without reading? So one very important thing, all of us as educationists need to understand that we have to develop good reading habits among the students. It is very, very important. In fact, NEP 2020 does talk about digital libraries. Ma'am, you had flipped through that second last slide, which did talk about digital library. You know, we as a company, I come from an edtech company. I head an edtech company known as Wordsworth Language Labs. We talk about teaching, listening, speaking, reading, writing. And when we cater to 1 million students every day, and our research shows that students just don't want to read. And if they want to read, they can't read. So for that, as a company, we've developed a digital library, enhancing and making sure that they read. You know what we do? We make them read, it automatically gets recorded, and then they listen to it. When you listen to your own voice, your own reading, you want to do it more. You want to improve. They listen to something, they imitate and read back. That is how you improve. So these are important things. So coming back to the point, what will the students do? They will scan through a lot of information and then come up with the 10 lines. And the next day, what happens, ma'am? What happens, sir? Rajiv, sir? S.P. Singh, sir? Jaswal, sir, and ma'am? Each student has to get up and present their 10 points. So first skill that they acquire is the presentation skills. These are important skills. They acquire presentation skills. Second, they have to speak about it. That's communication skills. Third, they have to collaborate and listen to each other and come out with their own. So that's collaborative skill and peer skills, peer learning. And everybody has talked about peer learning skills. Understand, a student will learn better from a peer than from a teacher. Understand, you get a new mobile phone today, your child knows how to use it before you can even open it. Why? They learn it from their friends. Same age group, their brains work parallelly. So peer group learning is important. Sorry, and that in a flipped classroom, when they discuss and they come up with their own 10 points, that's peer group learning. That's group discussion. That's thinking. That's what is important. So just by implementing a simple flipped classroom where you don't have to have any heavy infrastructure, you just need to have internet, and everybody can access internet, at least using a mobile phone. These are important traits. We are talking about 21st century teaching skills. I'm talking about 21st century skills that the students need to have. And teachers need not do more. All they have to do is to be present, to enable them, and also learn along with them. Understand one thing. It is nowhere is it written that the teacher needs to know everything. But teacher should know where is everything. So that is what is important. We can't be superhumans. Teachers are saying, Chanakya, who's supposed to be the biggest teacher or the greatest teacher, what he said, a teacher is a person who lets the learner know that I know as much as you know, let's learn together. And that's what a facilitator is all about. So technology can help this. We need not worry. We need not worry. How are we going to have so many subject teachers? When we are talking about choice of subjects, I am sure the lady from the college, from SRM University, knows that when they give CBCS choice-based credit system, each child can opt for different questions, in different subjects. So what happens is, the college is open at 9 o'clock and shut at 6 o'clock. 9 to 6 is what the college works, because if you have opted for a particular subject, you may not have opted for some other subject, and when that class is going on, they have to sit in the library. So that's going to be a challenging thing for teachers. So there, schools will not be able to afford 10 different kinds of teacher for one class. At that time, a single teacher will have to wear multiple hats. Understand? A single teacher will have to have multiple hats, and that a teacher can do only if the teacher takes the help of technology and understands how technology can help a teacher deliver. So that's the most important part. Now coming on to my part on languages. This tech company of ours is more into languages. We've got language lab for English, Hindi, Sanskrit, Marathi, now coming up French. Now, what is it that NEP 2020 talks about it? The best part that they've talked about is that during the early foundation years, and if required up till the preparatory years, we should teach them in their mother tongue or local language. Nowhere do they say that it is compulsory. Please understand. Rajiv sir, SP Singh sir, Vipin sir and ma'am, nowhere does it say that it is compulsory to teach in that local language. But it is advisable. Let's understand what is going in the heads of this poor child. First standard child, on one side is learning how to comprehend in English, and on the other side we are teaching them core subjects, numeracy, or say environment science in English. Poor child doesn't know how to comprehend, and he has to comprehend things in English. But instead of this, if we were to explain these core subjects in his own mother tongue or local language, he will not have any burden, because before he comes to school, he already knows that language. So what happens to the other languages? What we say is that if this, say let's take an example of Hindi speaking state, they have Hindi as a local language. They also use English. You can do that. Research says that by the age of 8, a child can acquire up to 5 languages. NEP 2020 talks about 3 language formulas. Which are those 3 languages? First is the local or the mother tongue language. Second is the foreign language, that is English. Third is the classical language. In some of these states, that is Sanskrit. Kids can acquire 3 languages at the same time. It should not be done this way, that you start teaching in Hindi and when he comes to 5th standard, you talk about English. The child will lose his interest in English. He will not be able to do it properly. So what needs to be done, you can have 3 languages right from the beginning. Instead of having higher level and lower level languages, let all 3 languages happen. You see, a child, if he or she speaks 3 or more languages at a time, the brain works better. Imagine one sentence using 3 different languages and still making sense out of it. That's logic. How does this help? Local language will help me understand core subjects and also understand the local heritage, the local culture, which is very important. India is not a country. It is a United States, like America. We have so many states, and each state having its own heritage, its own culture, and that is as important as the national heritage and culture. So that's why the local language is important. Second is English. That's as important as any other language, because we are competing with the world. We are accessing information using the internet, and 90% of information on the internet is in English. Nowhere can we not give it the kind of importance it is important. And third is a classical language. In our case, Sanskrit. That will help our students be more national. One of the speakers did talk about nationalist feeling. Not only that, when we know Sanskrit, we will be able to go to the scriptures, the ancient Vedas, and there's such a lot of knowledge, not information, knowledge which is buried within those. And if the other countries are accessing it, why not us? So this is important. The 3 language formula works. Now, there was a question by there was a concern put up by, I suppose, Rajiv sir, on what happens, how will we teach them So many languages. How do we get teachers for so many languages? We don't have to worry. So if I am from Ahmedabad, Gujarat. If I've stayed in Gujarat, I should know Gujarati, right? So I will be able to explain the concepts in both Gujarati and English. It doesn't say that the same subject in, say, mathematics, you teach once in Gujarati and once in Sanskrit, English, or once in Hindi, once in. No, you can use a mix of languages. The whole point is the explanation can be in the local language. So we need not worry how this multilingual thing will work. As it is, most Indians are multilingual. Most Indians are. Because if we don't speak, we listen to a lot of languages. And when you listen to languages, you can acquire them, because language is never learned or taught. It is acquired from the environment. How do you do that? Simple. Give them access, give them a platform, and I promise you that if you go by giving them an environment, it can even be given using technology. They will be able to acquire languages. Let me give you my own example. I used to hate Sanskrit in a 10th standard. Instead of Sanskrit, I took physical education, because these are two subjects which can give 100 out of 100. Right? But Sanskrit was easier than physical education. But I was scared. But when our company started developing the Sanskrit language, I got so fond of it that I started acquiring Sanskrit. So acquisition of a language, if made easy, is not a challenge. You can easily do it. And if any of you would want, I can send you a link. Go through that. Within 5 days, you'll be able to understand Sanskrit. Start to understand that. And even a Hindi teacher will be able to teach that. So all in all, if I have to conclude, I'll say, if we want to achieve the goals set up by NEP 2020, the first and foremost thing that we need to do, we need to embrace technology, because technology cannot be taken away from our life. Anything and everything that we do is connected to technology. So why not education? Second, if you want to reach each and every part of the country, if we are talking about inclusive education, how do you reach out to everybody? Technology. Wherever a mobile can reach, education can reach. Third, how do we teach our trainers? As we teach our students through technology again. And not that each and every teacher needs to know how to code. It is not required. You need to know how to use the tools. Let the people who want to get into technology as a career get into coding. But people who have to use technology, just tools are simple. So all in all, I say is beautiful piece of work. NEP 2020 talks about everything, talks about languages, talks about heritage, talks about winning over the world, and talks about including everybody. So that's how I would want to conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir, for sharing these two important, touching these two important areas in detail. Like, thanks for your participation. I would come back to your questions. I would now request again Dr. Preeti Rishi, if we have your presence.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I would request Preeti ji, if we can have your ideas.
Yes, sir. So, as I have told earlier, I'll be talking about importance of coding, as we know that the new education policy has introduced coding from class 6 as a 21st century vocational skill. So, after class 6, students can opt for coding. So, first of all, we need to understand the importance of this decision, why this has been taken. So, since I belong to the higher education side, students who are taking admission in our engineering courses, first thing that they want to know is what will be the scenario of placement for them. So, they want to choose the course or the stream of engineering based on how easy it is to get placed after doing that course. So they are mostly taking decision based on the future prospects, what kind of job will be available to them, whether they can get campus placement or not. And over last 20-25 years, from the time that I have been observing during my student days and after that, earlier, after entering college, we were taught C++ coding as a part of our first year BTech course. So that was so many years back. And after that, mostly those who were in computer science branch, only those students, they used to try to learn extra languages. For other people from other branches like mechanical, civil, electronics. We used to think that if coding is a additional asset, it is not a mandatory thing that we must know. If we are strong in our subject, that is good enough for us to get a job. But the scenario has changed totally. Now each and every branch of engineering, or for that matter mostly for all kind of courses, they need to have some basic knowledge of coding. Some, not some, we will say, all of the people who are uh, trying to get a job, they must have some software knowledge. So it has become so important, that importance has increased many fold over the years. So first of all, I will like to talk about the advantages or the importance of this decision, why this is very important. So due to this decision being taken in NEP, students now have more control than ever on the subjects that they want to learn in the school. So mostly this decision has been met with positive reactions from people in the education sector, and it is hoped that changes will provide much required positive push to the education sector and address many issues that affect education today. So introduction of coding is one of the most talked about changes in NEP. So this move has received widespread support from the present generation of educators, with many terming it their favorite part of the policy. So one of the reforms introduced in the final draft of NEP 2020 is that students will now be taught 21st century skills from class 6. Coding is one of the subjects that is part of these 21st century skills, and students will have option to choose coding as a subject. So what is uh, the importance behind this step? What is the vision? The world of today is a digital world in which large portion of the revenue generation by companies is being done not through their physical products but their digital services. So an increasing number of companies are shifting towards the online platforms to do their business. Mobile phones have become our means of traveling, and mobile phone apps have become our window to the world. So apps and websites are now used for innumerable purposes, which include keeping in touch with our loved ones, learning and education, shopping, training, delivery of services, and all that. So as speakers before me, a lot of speakers have mentioned that this technology has helped us to survive through this pandemic. And during this course of last 1 year, many teachers which were not earlier familiar with the online mode of teaching and learning, everybody has learned this, and it has been the savior in this time. So as per the Future of Jobs report published by the World Economic Forum in 2019, 65% of the children entering primary school right now will be working in jobs that don't even exist right now. So, what does this mean? It means that the job scenario is changing so fast that by the time these students complete their education and they come out of their colleges and are eligible to take jobs, the jobs which will be offered, there will be of some of them will be of totally new, uh, uh, we can say this thing, profiles will be totally new. So if we take a look at jobs that are common today and compare it to 10 years earlier, we'll find that many people either didn't have even heard of such jobs, or we didn't know that they existed. So the world is moving forward at an unimaginably fast pace, and it is important to equip our children with the knowledge and skills that will help them to succeed in future. It is almost impossible to overstate the importance of coding in today's world. Almost every human being that exists right now has been influenced by some form of coding or the other. In such a world where code is omnipresent, many have talked about why learning to code is important and beneficial for every person. So, some of the advantages that are there by learning coding. So students will be ready for a future that relies heavily on digital tools for all its tasks. It will make their education future proof and give them better prospects at finding a job in a digital world. As artificial intelligence is introduced in more places, it will be used to automate and increase the efficiency and speed of many manual tasks. Students who are adept at coding will help in revolutionizing the change through this technology. Even if a student does not choose coding as their primary career, having its knowledge can still benefit them in any of their chosen industry. Coding helps develop an analytical mindset, a problem solving attitude, and creativity in children. It also has a good effect on developing brains. And one of the point that is being discussed is the importance of teaching this at a younger age. So teaching coding from class 6, when they have an impressionable mind and they are able to grasp the things faster. Okay, so that is the why it is being emphasized to teach them at an early age. It will help them develop their skills better, and as a country we will develop better engineers who will bring in new ideas and solutions that we haven't even heard of. So students with a knowledge of coding will find it easier to be familiar with new technologies and hence will be able to better ensure their employability in a fast-paced world. Some point I want to add from my side personally. I have seen some students who were not doing very well in their studies, like they were not doing well at all. But once they were introduced to this side, coding, they really had interest in this. And because simply based on their coding skills, they were able to acquire very good jobs. So academically, they were not that strong, but they made their skill set so strong that they were able to get jobs in very good MNCs. So we have talked so much about the benefits. There are some drawbacks also. So there can not be said to be any major foreseeable disadvantage of learning code from class 6. However, many people have pointed out that introducing coding at very early age, such as class 6, must be done carefully as it can have several disadvantages. Learning to code is not requirement for a person to operate a computer well. Hence, it is essential to not overstate the importance of coding for the next generation workforce. Otherwise, instead of becoming a fruitful venture, this will become a rat race. Another point is, already concerns are being raised about the amount of time today's children are spending with technology. Especially after the online classes, we are all seeing on our personal level that children are with device all the time. So educators and parents will have to work together to ensure that this is done and it does not have an impact on time children spending interacting, playing and bonding with friends and family in the real world. Because we would have seen that some children, they start imagining that virtual world as the real world. So that boundary is very thin. Many countries that have seen a digital revolution are facing an issue of their youth losing touch with the reality and becoming workaholics. So we need to find solution to stop it workforce from becoming a mere cog in the machine and instead help them become valuable contributors. So while it offers so many advantages, we need to be careful in the way of implementation, that how it is implemented. So educators will also have to ensure that they design the curriculum to be fun, engaging and creative in order to develop the intended qualities in the children instead of just focusing on rote learning and writing programs. Also, while this cannot be strictly termed as a disadvantage, some have pointed out that it is yet to see what if any impact these next generation coders will have on the employability of current generation engineers. So this only time can tell. So we have discussed the advantages and disadvantages that coding has to offer. But overall, we are looking at it very positively, and we are hopeful that by this step of introducing coding at an early stage, students will have an improved skill set and much more chances of getting a better employment. So I will conclude by saying that even in our university, we have collaborated with Siemens, which is a famous company, and we have opened Siemens Skill Center, where we are teaching a lot of online skills to the student, where they can apply the coding techniques and they can enhance their resume and get better employment. Yes, sir. That's all from my side.
Thank you, PPG, for sharing these important thoughts with us. Big thanks for participation and for your sharing of your wisdom. Big thanks. With this, we come to the last. With this, we come to the last part of the session, which is the question part. I would also request other participants, if you have any question, you can write in the chat box. We have already received many questions in the chat box. But before we start giving questions and we start reading questions to our key speakers, I'll just take a minute. I would share my screen here for a minute. I would like to just share what exactly we have been doing at school Lalaji Solutions. And after that, I'll immediately come to that question part. Some of you are already aware with School Lalaji Solutions, we are India's largest, one-stop solution platform for educational institutions. We are present in more than 42 cities, working with around 4,500 institutions. We help educate. So the old buses, furniture, generators. We also help institutions in raising money, that maybe in terms of loans or fee financing. Why any educational institution, why any school, college, university would need a platform like School Lalaji? This is any partner. You already have your old suppliers, your team is expert, you believe you're getting good discount. So why you would need a platform like schoollalaji.com? There are two important reasons. One is the kind of discount we can get for our partners. And second important reason is, the kind of suppliers we have today. We have more than 10,000 educational suppliers, educational partners. In every category, hundreds of companies are coming every month. So it's very, very difficult for school leaders to interact with all those companies, to to take their demos, to differentiate between their products, to negotiate with them. So here we come into picture. We understand your school, your taste, your actual requirement, your budgetary limitations, and then accordingly we negotiate, we filter, we talk to different companies, and we recommend you the right set of options. These are some areas where we are helping educational institutions: smart classroom procurement, uniform, insurance, diesel, solar plant, language lab, security solutions, furniture, recruitment, music classrooms, healthcare, robotics, STEM STEAM labs, career counseling, stationery, digital marketing, IT solutions, educational tour, generators, learning tools, finance. And we take the guarantee that will save you at least 5 to 7% of your annual expenditure. That's kind of a 5% additional revenue generation for your institution. Just one example, we saved 2 crore 40 lakh rupees for different institutions in just one category, that's bus insurance. Some major highlights for last year, we did 8 megawatt plus solar installation, 3,000 plus bus insurance, 400 plus smart classrooms, 2,000 plus cameras, 350 plus training programs, 56 old buses we sold from one school to other, uniforming 42 schools. By the end of 2021, we aim to reach out to 10,000 institutions. We need your support, your guidance, your blessings. So big thanks. I'll end my talk here. And now I would request our key speakers, SP Singh sir, Rajiv sir, Sarju Bala ma'am, Vipin sir, Dr. P.T. Rishi, Jacinder sir, if I may start presenting questions to you. I have posted the first question, in the chat box. SP Singh sir, I would request if you can take on this question. Sir Rohan Virmani, he's a teacher with Spy Grace Academy International School, Dehradun. His question says a major flaw in the NEP 2020 statement is its utter disregard for gender and related issues in the higher education segment. Neither is there any mention of the disabled community nor of the socially underprivileged classes. Is higher education expected to cater to hegemonic classes alone? Sir, if we can have your view on this, these two assessments. SP Singh, sir.
So, I have already mentioned that new education policy, it is going to 2020, it is going to be very beneficial and taking care of the holistic development of the personality of each and every child. And personally, I'm talking of this inclusive education. Inclusive education, as you're talking of the uh, those from backward classes or disabled or invalid people or like that. So this policy, when implemented, and if we go into details of it, certainly we will find the provisions for that. That it is very clear right from the beginning when we are talking of the ECC, it means that right from the preschool till class 12 and beyond that, it is going to take care of all the sections of the society. So this is my opinion, though I haven't gone into the details that much, but I'm sure that it will be taking care of all these aspects of them.
Absolutely. Thank you, SP Singh, sir. I would come back to you for your concluding remark. Now I would request Rajiv Anand, sir. Sir, if I may present the next question to you. Sir, I have posted the question in the chat box. Poonam Gupta ji, Principal Maharaja Agrasen Public School, Delhi, has asked this question. Teachers need extensive training for the successful implementation of NEP. In true sense, how will that happen? Do you think our training to these number of teachers would be possible? Rajiv, sir.
The training phase is being decided by the various agencies. The various agencies are being given the task for training purposes, and not one agency can achieve this task alone. But there are various agencies that are being given the responsibility for that, and it will be done in phase by manner, phase by phase, and actual instructions or actual schedule or whatever I can say is being awaited right now.
Right. Thank you, Rajiv sir. I'll come back to you for your concluding remark. I would now request Surjubala ma'am. Ma'am, if I may present the next question to you.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, this question has been asked. I'm just posting the question in the chat box. Ms. Mandeep Kaur, she's a teacher with the Millennium School, Patiala, has asked this question. Does the No Child Left Behind Act really promote inclusive education? What's your opinion?
Yes, I think No Child Left Behind Act will really promote this inclusive education. If I take the example of Kendra Vidyalayas, we have 25% reservation for in the admission for the disadvantaged group, and so we include all kinds of social category as well as economic category. So in this No Child Left Behind Act really promote the inclusive education. So children really can means they are in the they are not in, they don't go to a separate school, those who have a little bit of problem, those who have these days we have this very hyperactive children also, they are they come and admit their themselves in our school, and they have this inclusive education. And some children, they are physically handicapped, but they are able to come and appear for the exams, and also we kind of help them, and that kind of inclusive education is promoted in the schools. So, and teachers are also trained so that they can cater to the needs of these children with special needs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Surjubala ma'am, for sharing this important point. I would now request Vineet sir, if I may present the next question to you. Vineet sir, do we have your presence? I believe Vineet sir has lost the connection. I would request, SP Singh sir, if I may present the next question to you again. Now, the question, Mr. Brijesh Kumar Mishra, Brijesh ji, PGT with Sardar Patel Higher Secondary School, JP Bina, Madhya Pradesh. Is there going to be any changes in NCERT syllabus? Sir, a lot of people have talked about the reduction in syllabus. So what's your assessment about the reduction of syllabus? SP Singh sir.
Sir, regarding the reduction of syllabus, actually the entire syllabus, it has to be restructured. There will not be any change because in the infrastructure and other sort of the resources, because all the resources infrastructure sufficient hai, there will be no change for that as per the policy framework. But certainly, there will be restructuring of the syllabus as per the need. But reduction is not sure about that.
Okay. I would request Rajiv sir. Rajiv sir, this question has come from your school only. So if I would also request you if you can get your insight on this, Rajiv sir.
No, I don't think so. There will be any change. It will be on the same level. But what I feel is that the point that NEP has emphasized is on equity and justice. So the frame work will be reshaped, and the syllabus, I don't think so there will be any change.
Okay. Right. Thank you, SP Singh sir, Rajiv Anand sir. I would now request Jaswinder sir. Ms. Priyanka Chauhan, she's a teacher with Delhi Public School, Agra. What would be the role of technology in our curriculum vis-a-vis NEP? Jaswinder sir.
Okay, so I would want to combine the earlier question as a part of this question also. See, understand, we will all have to understand we have to go beyond the books. So, curriculums would soon change, or syllabus would soon change to something known as a can do statement. That means at this age or at this level of education, this is what a student should be able to do or should know. You will not be able to limit them to the boundaries of what is the content of the textbook or the syllabus or the curricula. Okay, and how is it that going to happen? That is where technology will come in. Understand one thing is you cannot tell a student that this is the only thing that you need to know, because that is the wrong that we have been doing till today. On one side you say there has to be research based education, and then you say you do research from these 20 lines. Not possible. So what is going to happen is, instead of students carrying books, they will carry a tablet or a handheld device or a laptop, and they will have to come up with it. So again, the flipped classroom comes into the point. You have to tell them that this is the level that I want. Go get it from wherever you want. And that's where, because there are two things, there's a lot of difference between information and knowledge. Students gather information, understand the information to convert that to knowledge. Now, I may not understand in whatever is written in the textbook, right? That's what is required. Second, if you want to reach out to so many places, and what they are talking about textbooks in different languages. That is not possible that within one same state you have got a textbook in 5 languages. But if the entire syllabus or entire learning is digitized in different languages, that is technology, and the student can access it in any form. See, if I'm trying to read something in English and I don't understand, I can click and have a conversion of Hindi. That is where technology will come in. So definitely technology will play a very big role in curriculum and designing of the entire syllabus, designing of the program. That is what we have to look forward to. Again, I will say that we will have to go out of the textbook. Going out of the box is going out of the textbook. What we have done is contained the child in those 200 pages. We have contained the child in those 12 questions behind each chapter. It has to go beyond. If you want the child to think, You have to give them open, no boundaries. You have to allow them to think wild. You have to allow them to go beyond, touch the horizons. Textbooks can't do that. And technology will enable. See, understand, like Priti Ma'am said, technology is not everything, but everything is in technology, right? So you cannot stay away from that. It will impact.
Absolutely, absolutely. It will impact. And one speaker, very senior educator who participated in few sessions back said, technology will not replace teachers. These are the teachers who use technology in a better way. Would replace those teachers who don't. So big thanks once again, Jaswinder sir, for highlighting that. I would now request Dr. Preeti Rishi, if I may present the last question to you. Dr. Rishi, if we have your business.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ma'am, this is about, a lot of people have asked this question. This is about the flexibility of subjects, in senior secondary classes. So many believe this is going to create a challenge for those students, in terms of choosing a course at higher education level. So if you believe that confusion would exist there.
No, sir. I think this is a much needed thing. So, like we know that because of this new policy, students can combine subjects from lot of streams. They can combine science with art subjects. So this freedom was not there earlier. I think students today, in today's world, they want to experiment a lot. They don't want to go in the traditional way. This is an advantage for them. So I don't think it will create any confusion because other traditional choices are still there. Those who don't want to go with the new system, they can go with the traditional way of choosing subjects. I think this is one of the highlights, one of the positive things about the policy. I don't think this will be any, this won't create any problem, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Rishi, for that. So big thanks once again to all the key speakers, SP Singh sir, Rajiv Anand sir, Sir Jubala, ma'am, Vineet sir, Jaswinder sir, Dr. Preeti Rishi for that. But before we end the session, I would request you if we can have your concluding remarks. And we have also established one very interesting practice that while sharing your concluding remarks, if you can also suggest one idea that you would like to execute as a priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education of our country. So what would be your priority that you would like to change, that you would like to execute? So, we'll end at that note. I would request Jaswinder sir first, sir, if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
Okay. So thank you, Rajulji, and good evening, everybody, again. First of all, very important, the NEP 2020 seems to be a huge disruptive policy on the positive side, but we have to understand this is a great piece of work which we need to see to it that it is implemented properly. And first of all, we need not be afraid of get boggled down that how will we be able to achieve this. We can always break it into smaller pieces and then achieve each piece one by one and take it up as a piecemeal process. So that is something which will help us achieve what we think is something very big and beyond the most of the educators. I don't think that is a problem. And NEP 2020 Education Ministry has given us enough time to implement this. Right? That's one thing. Going on to the second part of the solution, the second part of the question is, what would I do if I were to be the education minister of the country, the Union Education Ministry? So before I get onto that, I would want to take you to a very important part. Whatever policy we make, whatever infrastructure we create, whatever money we pump in, we will never be able to achieve what is required unless we have the right kind of people who implement this properly. I'm talking about teachers. Unless we attract the right kind of people to come and join the education fraternity, unless we have people who come and passionately come to be teachers. It should be teaching should be a job by choice, not by force. It is something that you should come and do passionately with your own love. You know, the integrated B.Ed program, 4-year program, is the first step towards it. Right after 12th standard, a child or a learner knows that I am going to be a teacher and let me prepare for those years. But how do we attract the best of people? First, we need to pay them well. Second, and more important, we need to respect them well. Teachers need to be respected. What was, you see, the best education system was the Gurukula system. They, there, we used to respect our gurus, and they did a fantabulous job. We need to get back that respect. So if I were to be the Minister of Education, the first thing that I would do is classify teachers as the first class citizens of this country. The first class citizens of this country. I'll give you an example. A month back, there in the newspapers, in one of the Scandinavian countries where the doctors and engineers are paid less than teachers, they approached the government and said, why are we paid less than the teachers? Sarjubala ma'am, you know what was the single answer? A single line answer was, because you are common people and teachers are not. They are the ones who've created you. They are the ones who are developing, who are working to create the future of the country. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody from the army in this gathering today. But if the army is securing the today of a country, the teachers are securing the tomorrow of the country. So they need to be done. So that is what I would do. As a part of this, I'm on a mission. I'm on a very small mission, which is very important, but I want to make it a big mission. If SP Singh sir, you, Rajiv Anand sir, you, Sarjil Bala ma'am, you, Mr. Ma'am, Dr. Priti Rishi ma'am, and Vipin sir, if you could all help me in joining this mission and letting people know about it, I'll be very, very grateful. I'm going to share a very small piece of document, not even a document, it's a Word document. Let me know if you can see. Yeah, here, can you see this document? So, like I said, that I come from this company which is known as Wordsworth. We set up language labs. During the last 15 years, we have set it up in 3,000 schools. And in the 3,000 schools, we have trained more than 25,000 teachers. While doing that, we realize that we need to recognize all educationists. What I mean by recognizing all education is that, a doctor has a DR prefixed in front of the name, an engineer has an ER, a chartered accountant has a CA. Why can't we, as educationists, have an ED written in front of our names? If we do this, let the whole world know that I am a teacher or this is a teacher. We need to respect them. And anybody who's respected will always do their work to the best of their possibilities. So if you all could use ED in front of your name as a prefix and also ask your teachers to do that. Rajiv sir, I recently had a discussion with Meeta ma'am and Anjali Malik ma'am from the other school. We are working with them now. Soon it will come to you. There also I talked about it. Please have your teachers write ED. Slowly, if we all start doing, it will become a movement and people will gather onto that. I'm putting it on the social media. I'm trying to get change.org to work on that. If you could start this small step, if we all put ourselves into it, it will reach great heights. I've taken the liberty of actually writing it this way. Imagine if this is what we could do. I would be grateful if you could take this further, because I am sitting in one part of the country, but we all are everywhere in the country. Let this be made possible. It is for our own fraternity. Thank you for your, this thing that I'll be happy if you could assist me in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. This is a wonderful mission, and we congratulate you on this. You have our support. Big thanks for sharing this with us. Big thanks. And now I would request Dr. Preeti Rishi, ma'am, if we can have your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Union Minister of Education?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So it has been a wonderful session, sir. I learned a lot of new things from all our co-speakers. Thank you for this opportunity. And overall, the intent of the policy is very good. So only key lies in the implementation. If we are implementing it in a proper way with a positive mindset, I think it will be a good this thing. It will be a great benefit for the future generations and for the country. And as far as the question regarding being the education minister, so I think as we have been discussing earlier, so to set the ball in motion, to start the things, get the things moving, first we need to allocate the proper funds, and we need to oversee the entire process closely till the things start moving. And we are assured that it will, because this is not a thing which can be completed in months or years, it will take a long time to be implemented in a proper way. So I think the key lies in the implementation and allotting proper funds for the implementation, and overseeing each and every stage of the implementation. Thank
Absolutely.
you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rishi, for sharing that. Big thanks for your participation. And now I would request Sarjubala ma'am, ma'am, if you can have your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become our Minister of Education? Sarjubala ma'am.
Thank you so much. I thoroughly enjoyed the session. I've learned so much. I've gained so much from this session, and I'll surely share with all my colleagues. Um, the NEP is really good, as previous speakers had already said, and I totally agree with Jaswinder Singh sir that teachers need to be respected. And thank you, Jaswinder Singh sir, for that the mission you have done. You have started that putting an ED before our names. I hope that, yes, we need a respect. The teachers need to be respected in our society. Otherwise, the general feeling is that if you don't get a job, okay, try a teaching job. Teaching job is the one which is left for you, and then you can be a teacher anyways. So the NEP has introduced this the integrated program of B.Ed after +2. So this is a good one. And in the second part, if I were the Minister of Education, then maybe, as Preeti Rishi Madam had already said, we have to see the allocation of the funds. Means before announcing a setting up of a particular school, we have to see the infrastructure first. Generally, what we do is, a school has been set up, and then we don't have the infrastructure. Then that infrastructure comes later on. So first we need to see whether this school can be set up in that area. Do we have the teachers? Do we have the infrastructure? Do we have the building? Then only we can set up. So these are certain challenges which we face in the remote areas, especially in the Northeast and all. So lack of teachers are there. Infrastructure problem is there. So we need to first see whether the teachers remain in a proper place. Do they get all the basic amenities? Otherwise they will be worried about getting the basic amenities rather than teaching, giving their full dedication to teaching. So this is the priority I think we can change as if I were given a chance. That is, thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Sarjubala ma'am, for these wonderful remarks and for your participation. Big thanks. And now I would request Rajiv Anand sir, sir, if you can have your concluding remark, and what would be your priority if you get a chance to become Minister of Education?
So I begin with the second one. If I want to become minister, see what I feel that our society is being continuously degrading in moral values and life skills. Actually, what I feel, it's my own personal. So first of all, what I will do, obviously, I will emphasize in our coming generation. This means to how to just recreate and redevelop these skills, because now our children are mostly being very much involved in developing the career. Even the parents are also busy and shaping they're giving the direction to their children, that you take this subject, you take this subject, you get this mark, you get this position, and all these things. They are busy in all these things instead of just focusing on life skills and the moral values also. These two parts are being degrading continuously in the education system, and I am agree that the other subjects and other things are important, but I feel that these two things are more important than the rest of the subjects. So society, which is formed, society, the way we live, way we share, way we contribute, doesn't depend on the math, chemistry, physics, sciences, and all this. It only depends on life skills and the moral values. So what I will do, I will just emphasize on these two things first of all.
Absolutely, life skills and moral skills. और अगर आप ऐसा करेंगे तो you'll get a very strong support from Prime Minister Modi ji, क्योंकि वो भी 6 साल से वही कर रहे हैं, life skills and moral values. So big thanks Rajiv sir, for sharing these important ideas. I would now request SP Singh sir, and we would like to end the session with your remarks. SP Singh sir, if you can have your concluding remark, and what would be your priority as a Union Minister of Education?
Thank you, sir. First of all, I fully acknowledge and agree with Sri Jaswinder Singh ji, who has said everything in a nutshell. First of all, social orientation should be there for respecting the teachers. It's the demand of the time, because the respect for the teachers is going down day by day, year by year. Though they are responsible for for transforming the society, transforming the nation, transforming individuals, transforming society, transforming the nation. And education should be given utmost priority to that one. So if the teachers are not respected in the society, what will happen to the future of the country? Because I feel it to the core of my heart, and I also experienced. Teachers are creating engineers, teachers are creating IAS, teachers are creating IFS, teachers are creating doctors. All are the product of the teachers. If the teachers are not respected in society, I'm sure that as a student, I will not be able to learn from the teachers. I will be able to learn from the teachers only if I have respect for them. And social orientation of the parents. Though I have been the part of this wonderful meeting in New Delhi, in Kandivali Palace, they were representative from the ministries, CBSEs, KVS, and from public schools from different parts of the country. I was there when this policy was discussed, CC as well as no detention policy. So it has already been scrapped, CC has already been scrapped, no detention policy is still continuing. So we have suggested in the room that orientation of the parent is a must. Orientation of the society is a must towards the regard to the teachers. So teachers must be given their dues if we have to get the best. Only we can reach. Jaswinder Singh has told a number of things which are very pertinent, very relevant in the present scenario. At one time he spoke about language is never taught, it is all taught. It is non-facts. We are not teaching the languages, we are catching the languages. We are catching the languages from the environment. The environment we live in. So language has to be taught in a in such a manner that the students are able to catch it. And for that, we need to have the trained work for that. The teachers to do that. As far as my priority, you have take a desire for that. My priority will be for that is process that due regard to the teachers in the society. That is. Second is what are the policies you made? Whether the new education policy to 2022, we have to ensure the proper implementation. We have to study the policy. We have to implement all the parts of it, not only in letters but in speak also. And implementation part is not only important. We have to ensure proper feedback and progressive monitoring. Progressive monitoring should be there if you want to improve upon the system. If we have to improve upon the system by progressive monitoring. So that has to be there. Next is, I have in my mind that educational strategy is being governed that is being commanded not by educational laws, not by the people who are the educators. I feel that there was once an idea or mention of that Indian education service has to be put into force. Indian education service like Indian civil service. It has all the educators, all the good educators or administrators in the field of education should be given the chances to that, so that we can strengthen our education system. Simply sitting for the sake of the name is not sufficient. We have to look into the ground realities of the society. And that is only possible when there is implementation, feedback, and progressive monitoring. And we have to develop a mechanism so that system can be made further stronger. So this is my opinion, what I felt as my experience, and I have collected and learned from my fellow speakers. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. It was a productive session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, SP Singh sir. It directly came, from your heart. That's a sign of a passionate teacher. Big thanks for sharing this and for your participation. Once again, big thanks to all of you. SP Singh sir, Rajiv Anand sir, Sajubala ma'am, Jaswinder sir, Dr. P.P. Rishi, Vinny Jaswal sir. Big thanks to all of you. Big thanks to all other participants for being with us for the entire session. Big thanks. We'll end the session here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.